One day in the year of the fox came a time remembered well, when a strong young man at the rising sun heard the tolling of the great black bell. One day in the year of the fox when the bell began to ring, it meant that the time had come for one to go to the temple of the king. There in the middle of the circle he stands, searching, seeking. With just one touch of his trembling hand, the answer will be found. Daylight waits while the old man sings, "Heaven, help me." And then, like the rush of 1,000 wings, it shines upon the one, and the day had just begun. Hello, everyone. I'm Fitz.
And I'm Russell.
And we're the Crunchy Duck Gamers.
Woo!
Woo! That's our name, folks. And that's the show. Roll credits.
And we're done. Cut.
Russ, what games are you playing right now that are different from last week?
So I finished my run of Darksiders 2, Electric Boogaloo. And I really enjoyed it. And I'm kind of sad that there hasn't been a Darksiders 3 yet, but I have my fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, there's lots of Nordic Studios says they're working on it. Like it's a thing, kind of, that they have.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I've enjoyed the Darksiders series. We'll get more into that in a later podcast. If you haven't played it, play it.
God, the Darksiders
get it for cheap now. And then I've moved on to Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin edition for the PS4. And before I say my opinion of the game, just take into the account that I have played and beaten Demon Souls numerous times. I've done Dark Souls a couple times. Played and beat it, loved it. Bloodborne, love it. Dark Souls 2, not so much. In Dark Souls 2, I'm just gonna go on a slight little gripe. It's difficult, but it's also cheap, which is not
the right kind of difficult.
I mean, in all of the Souls games, and including Bloodborne, the game has been difficult but fair. If you die, it's usually because of something that you didn't do, or something you did wrong, or maybe you're not at a high enough level, or something you just haven't equipped. But in this, it's more or less the thing of like, oh, here's this one bad guy that you can easily defeat, so let's throw 3 or 4 of them at you, and let's ambush you a lot. Or put you, have you face this really tough enemy that is not rewarding. And it's just, these are games that I've been able to play and beat, but with Dark Souls 2, I'm getting frustrated because I am going through an area, and then all of a sudden, like, an enemy will pop up out of nowhere and corner me in a tight space, and I can't do anything to defend myself. And I guess that's part of the thing with Dark Souls 2, but it is really annoying for me. And it's not fun difficult. It's unfair difficult.
And that's how I honestly felt about Dark Souls 1. Because I'm terrible at the Souls games. Russ is much better than I am at the Souls games.
And I've been able to play and beat Dark Souls, no problem. If you haven't played Dark Souls, I recommend it. It's a great adventure RPG game. It's absolutely fantastic, but Dark Souls 2 is just infuriating. So that's my rant. So I've tried Dark Souls 2. I'm going to put it down for a little bit and come back later, and probably move on to something else. I don't know what yet. Maybe Bloodborne again. Fitz, what are you playing?
All right. What is Fitz playing? What am I playing? I just bought Bloodborne. I played it for the first time.
Full disclosure, I kind of harassed him and told him that he should do it.
Yeah, it wasn't just you. But yeah, Bloodborne, I like it so far. I'm at the very beginning. I'm in the first level. I just fought and failed at beating the first boss. Father Gilgamesh.
Father Gascon?
It's Gilgamesh. Father Gilgamesh. But yeah, and it's it's tough. It's a tough game, but for me, the reason why I didn't like Dark Souls is the same reasons why I that Russ doesn't like Dark Souls 2. I think Dark Souls is very unfair, and I think it's too hard for me. I'm actually not that good at video games.
That's okay. Neither am I.
Yeah. Like one of the reasons why I like RPGs is all I really need to do is know how to build a good character, and I'm good. Like you click and it does the right thing for you. With Bloodborne, it's hard. It's fair. I haven't got really too far into it, but right now I'm liking it a lot.
Yeah, and I keep bugging Fitz. I'm like, hey Fitz, what part of the game are you at? And hey, do you want to do co-op?
Yes.
And hey, if you need any knowledge about the world, let me know.
Yeah, I've taken a break from Darkest Dungeon. I've beaten Undertale. I've beaten the only couple of playthroughs.
Oh, how was Undertale?
Undertale was absolutely fantastic. I want to talk about it on the show at some point, which means you need to play it.
It's on my to play list.
It's a very short game. It's a pretty short game. You could probably beat it in 1 or 2 sittings. So anytime like Dark Souls 2 is frustrating you too much, and you just want a fun experience to play, go play Undertale.
I was so mad with Dark Souls 2, I almost started playing Call of Duty again.
Undertale will make you happy. Undertale will just make you smile. Like that, it's just one of those games that just make you smile.
All right, I can dig it.
So if you just get frustrated with any of the Souls games, go into Undertale and just get ready to smile. That's all I have to say about that.
Today we're going to talk about a very fun RPG game called Dishonored.
Dishonored, woo! It's an RPG-ish game.
Well, yeah, it's
has some elements in there.
Yeah, it's actually got a good amount of RPG elements. As well as it's a fun little.
It qualifies. If Gauntlet qualifies, then this certainly qualifies.
Well, every game is an RPG. If you think about it.
Yeah, one established in our Gauntlet episode. Every game is an RPG. We will mention this episode from every episode here on out.
That's not an RPG. Well, according to our Gauntlet episode,
it is.
Here's our MLA citations.
According to ourselves, it is.
I'm going to quote myself. Thank you. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Dishonored is a game it was developed by, I want to say, Arcane Studios, and Arcane Studios, Arcane with a K, not a C.
Ooh, fancy.
And it was published by Bethesda Softworks. They do Fallout. It's pretty big, I hear.
Yeah, Bethesda Softworks, one of my favorite game companies.
Yeah, and it's Dishonored is, I think, one of the most unique and engaging games I've played recently.
Define recently.
In the last 5 years. No, I say unique because the world of Dishonored, I think, is like one of the crowning jewels of this game. Is the fact that it's a very kind of like steampunk Maine, town off the coast of Maine, evil Cthulhu magic world.
Yeah, it's off the coast of Maine.
It feels like it would be off the coast of Maine because it's a town that requires boats a lot. So I feel like Stephen King, who loves Maine.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does.
It just feels like this would be one of those towns off the coast of Maine that has, dipped into the cults a little bit.
Yeah, but it takes place in its own world.
Yeah, it does. It takes place in its own fictional world.
What world would that be?
It takes place in the city of Dunwall.
Yeah, in the city of Dunwall.
Which is kind of like a mix between London and Ireland, Edinburgh more specifically. And that's it. Like when I say that, it has its own unique and interesting world. I mean, the art design of this world is really, it's dark and gritty and it's wet because it's a town that is right by the ocean. And
it always seems like it's going through tough times.
Yeah. The city of Dunwall is dealing with a plague right now. Plague.
Pretty big plague.
But yeah, that's actually where the plot begins. That you play as Corvo, who is the
Mm-hmm.
queen's bodyguard, and he just
Mm-hmm.
returns from a diplomatic mission to try and get aid for Dunwall while they go through this plague. And you're about to talk to the queen about this when all of a sudden a bunch of supernatural assassins show up, and you fight off a couple of them. But then one shows up and literally lifts you up into the air, and then they assassinate the queen in front of you and kidnap her daughter. It's like the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah. So, oh, by the way, spoiler warning. If you haven't played Dishonored yet, why are you listening to this podcast?
Yeah.
But spoiler warning.
Well, spoiler warnings. This podcast is full of spoilers.
Yes.
I want to say like the court, but basically like the high officials of Dunwall. They pin the assassination on you. So then you get put in prison, and then the next level of the game is actually you escaping from prison. Quite exciting stuff. So you find out there's a group of loyalists to the queen who are unhappy with who's taken over after her untimely demise, and they're actually the ones who spring you out of jail. And then from there, you seem, you get a good sense of the gameplay of, you kind of have two choices between, do you want to be sneaky and good, by just knocking people out and hiding their unconscious bodies, sneak bad, sneak around and, you assassinate everyone.
Yeah, and they turn to ashes.
Yeah, they can turn to ash, which is one of the cool powers that you can get.
Yes.
Or, just loud and obnoxious, where you go through and you'll get into fights all the time.
Yeah, and that's the easiest way through. I think by the end of the game, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I started off just, going through each level, trying to silently take out everyone. And then, by the end of the game, it's just like, you know what? I just want to beat this game. I started just stabbing everyone.
Yeah, this is one of those games where quick saving is super useful, because it's like, oh, I got caught. 5 attempts later, okay, I'm just gonna murder everyone and then go back to that quick save. But once you get broken out, you're taken to this kind of old hotel, and then you're visited by a character known as the Outsider, who gives you superpowers. So the first ability that you get is the ability they call it Blink, which is just teleportation, and it's awesome.
That's about the only ability I used, honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those things, but if you do the sneak gameplay, it is the only ability you really use, because it's super useful it's like, oh, I need to get across this area. Oh, well, there's a spot I need to hide to. Blink. And you can upgrade it so that you can then go even farther. So you're just kind of jumping across rooftops using this blink ability, which is awesome. But then basically you go through and you start, knocking off a list of people who have betrayed you. And the cool thing is that you can either actually, assassinate them, or you can take them out in non-violent means, like remove them from a position of power, which I think is really awesome, because a lot of games these days just focus on murder and mayhem. And this game gives you the option to not do that.
Yeah, but the more fun way is to do that.
Yeah, sneaking in this game, you have to be extremely patient.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very like, it doesn't really reward you for playing that way.
Yeah, it's and basically what happens is that you go through. I'm not going to talk too much about the little details of the plot, but basically you go through and you find out that the cause of the plague is actually brought upon by some of the heads of the state, or some of the former advisors to the queen, and they brought about the plague to kind of disrupt the queen's power and her influence, so that they could take over. And you also find out that Emily, the queen's daughter, is, spoiler alert, your daughter, actually.
Whoa, I forgot all about that.
It's one of those things, it's kind of like, oh, guess what? This character that has shown a huge amount of attachment to you, and there's no king, is actually your daughter. Crazy.
I completely forgot about it. I don't even know if I got that when my playthrough.
Yeah.
Russell, you dropped a bombshell on me.
Bombshell dropping. Fun / scary thing about this world is that they all their technology is powered off of whale oil. So that's why I say, like, this town is kind of like a town off the coast of Maine, because they rely heavily on the ocean industry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think in one of the DLCs, you actually go to one of the whaling plants and you see this poor little whale being drained of all of its oil. Apparently, whales have oil.
Well, yeah.
Whale oil.
Russell, they do.
They do.
Absolutely, that's a major. That used to be like a major trade, whaling, and they used to drain them of oil.
Huh.
Yeah, that's like that used to be like one of the staple goods from like the New England area.
See, I always knew that the whale meat was a thing. I didn't realize that whales actually had like their own oil.
Well, yeah, it's produced from the blubber, I believe.
Oh, I am not a marine. Disclaimer: I am not a marine biologist.
Well, if anyone knows like where whale oil truly comes from, which part of the whale, you can really go ahead and leave a comment on Twitter.
Please don't. Actually, that sounds really sad and depressing. But anyway, yeah. So you know, all their technology is powered by whale oil, and like even though it's kind of set in the Victorian era, they do have some like really cool technology. Like they have these things called walls of light that disintegrate biological matter, so you can't walk through them. You can't even blink through them. You will just die. But you can use it to hide bodies for you by disintegrating them. Yeah, and then you get the guards that are walking on stilts and kind of on these stilt like missile shooting mechanical things.
Oh yeah, once those were introduced, I thought that was kind of weird. Like, yeah, I don't know, it just felt weird.
Yeah,
to
because
me.
you can't knock them out. You can destroy them if you're being aggressive, but otherwise you just have to sneak around them. Yeah, and then depending on what kind of playthrough you do, like in the game, they try not to like label it as good or bad. They just do high chaos and low chaos. And then depending on your chaos meter, the end game kind of changes a little bit. There are more people that they call them, I think, weepers.
And there are more rats if you kill more people, and those rats will.
Yeah, the higher chaos you have by the end of the game, you get more weepers, which is people affected by the plague that will aggressively attack you, and then you get more rats, which will try and eat you. Rats can also be used to get rid of bodies.
And that's true. There are lots of ways to get rid of
In
bodies.
Dishonored.
Honestly, Russell, I can only think of a few things more terrifying than being eaten by rats.
Being eaten by pigs?
Being eaten by rats.
Well, I think being eaten by pigs would also be pretty terrifying.
Russell, pigs are herbivores.
Really?
Yeah,
No, I'm pretty sure pigs will, like, you can use a pig to get rid of a body.
I mean, like, you put it in front of them and they're hungry, they're not going to eat it. They're pigs, for Pete's sake. But
welcome to our podcast on how to get away with, where you learn how to hide bodies.
Oh, okay. Yep, pigs are omnivores. Yep, I'm sorry. You're right, Russell.
Please don't ever question my knowledge of getting rid of bodies.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm not a pig farmer. I don't have any hogs in my yard, so
I just apparently know good methods of getting rid of bodies. I'm a little disturbed by that stuff.
Feed them the pigs.
You also find out that the person who assassinated the queen, his name is Dowd. He was also visited by the Outsider, and he was also granted superpowers as well.
I killed his ass.
I knocked him out and left him by his desk so I could raid his desk, but I thought that sent him a message. Because bam, all of a sudden I'm unconscious.
Honestly, I think killing him sends an even bigger message. You're dead.
Well, it's like, one of the things that bookies say is that, people don't pay up if they're dead.
Oh, yeah, but you can loot their body.
Yeah, you can also loot their body if they're unconscious.
Yeah, but they're not allowed to accuse you if they're dead.
I don't think this assassin is going to go to the police saying this guy knocked me out and stole my key. Like, I am 95% sure he's not going to do that because he's an assassin who killed the queen.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
True. Yeah, and then depending on what you do, like you can, if you have low chaos and you save Emily, peace and prosperity throughout the world. If not, you cause like a lot of chaos and you don't save Lady Emily, the world actually kind of descends into chaos, and Corvo leaves the city.
Yeah, but I didn't get that ending.
Yeah, so with gameplay, there are a couple ways to go about through Dishonored. You can either be loud and obnoxious and get into fights with everyone and kill everything, causing high chaos, which is their morality system.
Or you can choose to stealthily get through the game.
Surgically assassinate people. Once you unlock the ability to blink, you can then collect runes that are scattered throughout the missions. And you can use those to upgrade and purchase new powers. One of them being, anytime you kill someone, their body disintegrates. So you could tactfully,
that's pretty
so you could tactfully
really
assassinate
cool
someone, and then you don't have to worry about their body. Except I keep running into the thing where every time I assassinate someone, their equipment drops, and it alerts everyone around them, which really ticks me off.
Yeah, and that's why I end up killing lots of. Also, another reason why I kill lots of people in this game is because, well, it's really fun. Because the sword play, the sword combat, the gameplay there, that's one of the smoothest experiences I've had in video games.
Yeah. The combat in this game, it's pretty straightforward. It's just you can either slash or block, but and parry, and you need to use like combat is really fast, and then you have to use all those mechanics while in sword fighting, and then you also have a pistol or a crossbow or a superpower. So like one of the cool things that you can do is you actually can get the power to stop time. And so what you can do is that you can stop time, fire your pistol, fire a crossbow bolt, and then move to a different part of the room before the spell wears off. And then the bullet and the bolt will continue, and they'll hit their targets.
Oh, okay. I never did that.
Yeah, it's one of
That's
those things
awesome.
where it costs a lot of resources. In the game, you upgrade your powers through runes.
Basically, the gameplay in this game is pretty great. It's very varied. You can go about missions multiple ways. Lots of cool powers to choose from, and it's a lot of fun to play. It's really awesome.
Yeah, then there's another you can get little trinkets that will change little things. Like my favorite one is to incapacitate a guard takes less time, and then you also have a health bar and then a mana bar. You can carry some potions with you, but you can't really carry things to regenerate mana. You just have to find it throughout the world, like little chocolate bars or energy bars. Cool thing is though, with small items like Blink, you can use it once and it'll regenerate the amount that you've used, as long as you don't use it again, which is super useful, especially because I use Blink and Dark Vision, the ability to see through walls, a lot.
Oh yeah, I use those two abilities a lot too, because one, they're extremely useful. Two, Blink is really cool.
It actually gets. I'm going to speak a little bit about the DLC. In the DLC, you actually play as Dowd, the assassinating person or the assassinator of the Empress. And his Blink ability is actually so much cooler than Corvo's.
Really? I never played a DLC.
Yeah, his Blink ability, time stops. So you can jump up, you can jump into jump up in the air and activate Blink, and you will stop in midair. And then from there you can look around to select your target. So yeah, his version of Blink is actually much cooler.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, so makes me actually wish I played the DLC.
Took this power that's already super cool, and then they one-upped it and they made it awesome, even more awesome. Yeah, and I think that, and with gameplay, it's you're kind of like a steampunk version of the Legends of Zorro. You do get a lot of gadgets to play with. So you get a pistol, a crossbow. With the crossbow, you can use regular bolts or numbing bolts that'll subdue people. You get a monocle, and you get all these really cool gadgets, such as a sword that can be folded up, as well as the really cool mask that is given to you, which is on the game's cover art. That gives you that creepy anonymity when you're sneaking around the world. And one of the downsides of this game is that it is really short.
Well, yeah, and they, a lot of games do this. A lot of games make their games intentionally short because the games are meant to be played multiple times using different tactics.
Yeah, and that's one reason we didn't talk so much about the plot is that not much to it. We covered all the key points.
Oh, yeah, it's a revenge redemption plot.
Superpowers and a cult.
That's about it.
Yes. Even though we're not talking about it, there is a lot of content, and it is actually, pretty awesome. But yeah, this is definitely one of those games where they want you to play through the story using as many different combinations as you can.
Absolutely. They want you to play the game multiple times. That happens. I only played through it once.
Yeah, I only played through this game, I think, 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, because this is kind of like a critique. This critiques we have. The game it's not good enough to play more than once. That's what I'm going to say. The story's not really all that interesting. I mean, the world's interesting, the characters are interesting, but the story itself, it's flat. It's not much to it. There's a lot of good lore behind it, but you don't really go into that. You're Corvo. You're seeking revenge or redemption, and
this is one of those games where even though the main story didn't really grab me, the world grabbed me, and I was reading every single bit of lore, and I was on the wikis finding out about things. One of the things that you get from the outsider is a heart that actually allows you to detect items to find throughout the world, and you can also use it to find out people's true intentions. Well, I found out through various things of lore is that the heart is actually it's this like creepy looking heart with like kind of clock pieces inside of it and like little window inside and all this mechanical stuff kind of added onto it. That heart is actually the queen's heart. Yeah.
Really?
That the
Wow.
outsider
Okay.
gives to you. When I found that out, I was just like, oh. That's a little
Oh,
morbid and
okay.
creepy. And it's I think the outsider is also like one of the things that drags me in is that you have this mysterious force, and it's rumored that the outsider is actually like a leviathan type entity. It's a creature that lives within the sea, that contacts
Mhm.
humans and grants them mystical powers. So you kind of have that cultist slash Cthulhu type vibe, and you also run in Cthulhu.
Cthulhu?
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Nerd.
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
And you also run into people throughout the world that have contacted him, such as Granny Rags, one of the characters you run into occasionally. She talks with the outsider, and that's one of the things I kind of wish they'd go into. Like, what is this outsider? What are his plans? I think that.
And
Oh, well, I think they're going to
go
talk
ahead.
about this more in the sequel that has been announced.
Yeah, Darksiders 2 is
But
supposed to come out sometime
Dishonored.
this
You mean
year.
Dishonored too? You said
What'd I
Darksiders too.
say? I mean,
We were
Dishonored
just
2.
talking about Darksiders.
Yeah, and stay tuned to see that in the
Woo!
future, maybe. Dishonored 2 announced to come out later this year.
Yeah, I don't think it has a date yet.
Yeah, it just says 2016.
Maybe this year. Yeah, Dishonored 2 is coming out. And they've announced that you can play as both Emily Caldwin, who is one of the young Emily, the Corvo's daughter, as well as Corvo. And from what we've seen of the trailers, Emily has her own skill set and superpowers. So I'm kind of curious as like, what is the outsider planning? What is his?
Yeah, like I would want it. This is where we move into kind of our hopes and dreams about the next Dishonored. Just more like a more intricate plot. Like we don't need another revenge plot. We need something else that moves us into the world.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think something that like in Dishonored, the world of Dunwall it's like art, but the story doesn't ground us in it. It's something that we kind of look at, and if you're interested in it, you keep, you do the research like I did. But otherwise, you just kind of be like, oh, this is pretty, and move on. But I think the plot needs to be a little bit more grabbing and ground us in that world and give us a reason to stay.
Give us the reason to make D&D games
Yeah.
out of this. Like,
give us a reason to obsess over this world and or more of a reason. I mean, I got sucked into it, but I mostly because of the outsider. The fact that once you introduce, the potential of having a magical Leviathan whale thing in the ocean, I don't know, that freaks me out, so I get intrigued.
But yeah, just more about the outsider, which is probably what they're going to do. It's probably going to be more based around the outsider than it was the last game. Yeah, it's probably going to be almost entirely based on him. Like my hopes for the plot is probably the what I want is Corvo and his daughter just trying to find him, trying to find where he is, trying to find out more about him, and they're just going to a bunch of people and interrogating people who are known to have contact with him. So
yeah,
that's what I want. That's something
like Corvo's
I want.
backstory kind of like they hint at some of this stuff, but it kind of like begins and ends with he's the queen's security guard and the father of Emily.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry, not queen, Empress. My apologies, it's the Empress.
Yeah.
Jasmine Caldwin. Yes. I think one of my complaints about this game is that they reward you more for being stealthy. The fact that if you're stealthy and you don't kill a lot of people, the end game is a lot easier because there are a lot less weepers and a lot less rats. So they kind of like be like you can be, they kind of do the weird thing of like they say that's like, oh yeah, you can be you can get into all these sword fights and do all these really cool things, but the end game might not be as nice, which is kind of annoying. It's
because I did this once again. Like I would do this weird thing. Like you're supposed to do like a pure like you don't kill anyone playthrough or kill everyone playthrough, And whereas I did a little bit of
like
both.
games like this,
I
and
do
also
that.
Metal Gear Solid 5 is, they give you the option to do any gameplay that you want, but really only reward you for the gameplay that they want you to do.
Yes,
Which
absolutely.
is, I mean, I get why they do it because, given, I think most gamers, given the option between going in loud and murdering everyone or sneaking, they'd pick option number one because it's usually a lot easier. Because sneaking is,
Absolutely.
especially in this game where, like, I was playing it on the PC and I was quick saving a lot
Yeah.
because I kept getting caught a
Yeah.
lot because I am terrible at sneaking
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good at stealth games, especially the Splinter Cell series. The Splinter Cell series, especially the early ones, is one of my favorite game series of all time. The early ones, definitely. I haven't played the latest one, Blacklist, I think it was.
Oh, I played the demo for that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I played Conviction. Conviction was okay, but like especially the early ones where it was like purely this is stealth. You need to take your time getting through this, and if you get seen, you will be punished. Like you will probably die, or you get seen once, it's game over. Start from the last checkpoint. And like there really hasn't been a stealth game like that, like Splinter Cell. Well, since Splinter Cell. That's what I'm looking for
Well,
something
there's
like
Metal
that.
Gear Solid 5.
Well, once again, like it's also like you have these other options, and I'm all for options, but when those options are easier than going the stealthy route,
Oh yeah, I see. I find
yeah,
that in Metal Gear
I don't.
Solid 5, it's the easiest option is doing stealth because trying to do it any other way, like going in loud or trying to be a Rambo, the controls aren't really meant for it. Because just
Yeah,
aiming
true.
in that game is tedious. Um, so getting into firefights is really frustrating in Metal Gear Solid 5 for me.
Mhm.
So I avoid firefights by sneaking and tranking people and kidnapping them using balloons.
Yeah, yeah, and I can see that.
Except in Dishonored, it was more like I was avoiding combat, which was one of the jewels of this game by sneaking.
Mhm. Like the best part of the game was the combat, and if you're advertising your game as a stealth game, the best part should be the
Yeah.
stealth. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's my gripe. And Russell, concluding thoughts on Dishonored?
Definitely recommend picking up Dishonored and playing it if you already haven't. If you have, play it again. Why not? Fitz, concluding thoughts?
Concluding thoughts? Dishonored is a game I thoroughly enjoyed. I think it's worth a playthrough. Like the story is good enough, like to warrant one playthrough, but it's definitely something that's more of annoyance for a second or a third. And like the developers, they wanted this to be a game where you would play through multiple times, but it just wasn't a game that I would do that with for myself. The gameplay, some of the best gameplay of last generation for me. Especially the combat. Like the combat was so smooth. I had fun fighting with swords, and I love games that make me have fun fighting with swords. That's mainly what I focused on. I don't really go into guns when it comes to a game like this. I almost kind of wish it kind of forced you more into a stealth mechanic because it is supposed to be a stealth game. That's what it's supposed to be. But they give you the option to just not do that, and why even be a stealth game at all if you don't have to do it. That's my big gripe. But yeah, I recommend playing it. I definitely would.
Oh, I was just gonna say this is definitely a game that you should at least try once because it is different and it's different in a good way.
Welcome to the news.
To the news.
The news.
The news. The
All
news.
right. Well, I'm gonna go to my normal format and talk about something gaming related first, and then talking about something not related to gaming second.
And I'm just gonna stick with my usual gaming related content and not go on a rant this time.
I'm not going
Because
around.
normally I just edit out my rants, but this time I won't do that. Except I'm ranting right now. Challenge already failed. Okay, News! Fitz,
News.
what news do you have for us today?
Well, I'm going to cover my first news.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be a Dark Souls tabletop game.
What?
And according to the developers, Steamforge Games, it will be the hardest board game you have ever played. Going in the tone of these are really hard games in Dark Souls, even though compared to like NES games, they're not that hard.
I don't know. I've played the board game Pandemic. That game's pretty hard.
Yeah, there's not much about this in the article. It's a Polygon article. The article has a picture of one of the most notorious boss fights in Dark Souls. As you know, I'm not a big fan of Dark Souls, but Russell, what are these two guys again?
So these are the bosses of Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executioner Smog. They're Smaug. There are two bosses that you fight in Dark Souls, and you fight them simultaneously. And when you kill one, the other one gets more powerful and absorbs some of the other one's move sets.
Yeah.
So you have these. So yeah, nightmares.
Yeah, so
flashbacks coming back right now.
Yeah. Let's see. Its Kickstarter campaign will open on April 19th. So if you want to get in on that, if you like this, donate to it if you want. I'm not telling you need to. I'm interested in playing it. Actually, I want to play this with Tyler because he's a tabletop board game guy. If you listen to episode 4, you'll know who Tyler is. It's like old comics where they write in what comic books you need to read to get the statement the character just said.
You need to read you should read episode 16, issue 4.
Yeah,
and you'll find out who Tyler is.
Anyway, Russell, go ahead.
So my gaming news. Apparently there is a fellow by the name of egod123. It's his internet name, I hope. Is recreating Diablo 2 using StarCraft 2.
Okay.
Yeah, which is it's not an official Blizzard project, but it's terribly exciting because Diablo 2 came out in 2000, so at this point is a 16-year-old game, and it hasn't had any HD remakes, and you can actually still buy it at like Walmart right now for it's like $40,
absolutely,
like $20 to $40. The game has not gone down in value at all.
No, people are still buying it. They still get that battle chest.
Yeah,
like
which I highly recommend. Although a lot of computers now can't really run Diablo 2. I still think it's one of the best games that Blizzard has made. Right now, it's a fan-made project, and egod123 is asking for some financing towards the project. And it looks like you won't need to own Diablo 2 to play this mod, but you will have to own StarCraft 2.
Okay, so most of the world.
Yeah. So if you're a PC gamer and you're interested in this, just do a Google search for Diablo 2 recreated in StarCraft 2. PC Gamer does have an article right now, and I'm excited because I absolutely love Diablo 2, and I would love to play the game. The same gameplay elements, new graphics.
StarCraft 2 engine.
Correct. Yeah.
Will it be an RTS?
Yep. Well, sort of. It'll be like an RTS, but Diablo's RTS system.
Okay, so I don't know how that would work.
Basically, it's like Diablo 3, but harder.
Okay, so awesome, cool.
Yeah, Fitz, you have a non-gaming related news, right?
I do have non-gaming related, something I'm actually very excited for. There have been a lot of rumors about Ben Affleck potentially directing a solo Batman film, a prospect that has had a lot of people excited. And today, as of April 12th, 2016, that has been confirmed.
Woo!
Ben Affleck will be directing and acting in a solo Batman film. Release date to be announced, and the possible name of just being called The Batman. So I'm excited for that. Ben Affleck is a terrific actor and an even better director. I loved him as Batman and Batman vs Superman, and even more as Bruce Wayne. So I'm excited for that, and there's not much more than that.
Yeah, I'm
So
I'm excited too because Ben Affleck is my favorite live action Batman.
yeah, screw Christian Bale.
Keaton, you're all
Seriously,
right.
I like
Val
Keaton. I like
Keaton's
Keaton
all right. People
as
keep forgetting
Batman.
about Val Kilmer, and hey, guess what? George Clooney was Batman once.
Hey, George Clooney was a good Bruce Wayne, just in a very bad movie.
That was Joel Schumacher, right?
Joel Schumacher. He
Like,
took over for Tim Burton.
yeah, he made quite possibly one of the worst superhero movies that almost destroyed the superhero movie franchise.
Yeah, and then X-Men came along and saved it.
X-Men, Spider-Man, erase the debt of bat nipples.
And that credit card.
Bat credit card.
So we know it won't be as bad as that. So
Really,
it'll at least be better than that.
Once you hit rock bottom,
It'll be better than Daredevil.
oh my god! You know, I don't. Side note, I don't understand how people are saying Batman vs Superman is worse than Daredevil. Batman vs Superman is okay. Daredevil is just terrible.
Here's what I will say. No, we talk about Batman vs Superman a lot on this show. We edit most of it out, but we talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
here's what I'm going to say. Like, if this movie came out before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it'd be revered. It would absolutely be revered.
Yeah, the problem with Batman vs Superman is that it's pulling a lot of material from the elements of the DC universe that have not been made into movies yet.
Yes.
So if you have read the comics, you understand what's going on. If you haven't, you have no freaking clue as to what's going on.
I feel like we've already talked about
We
this
have
before.
talked about this.
So
I'm going to leave it in the
that.
podcast this time because I edited out a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah. We don't talk about it that much. But go ahead, Russell. I've talked about that. Now you talk about something else.
One thing that has happened pretty recently is that IGN, which has their first look series, just released another 21-minute long video of No Man's Sky, which is coming out, I believe, in June, late June. Those of you who don't know, I am stupidly excited about this game.
I'm pretty sure the world doesn't know about that yet, Russell.
Yeah, the world should know that I am stupidly excited about this game. Like, kid in a candy store excited. So when I saw the link to that video, I of course watched it, which was a bad idea because now I'm even more excited for the game.
Oh, absolutely.
So that just came out.
Yeah, I was a bit skeptical of No Man's Sky because, well, at first, all they were showing was exploring, and I was afraid it'd just be like, oh, you're here, go find planets. Oh, look, you found a planet. Oh, look, some animals. Go to the next planet. That's what I thought it was going to be, but it's going to be much more than that.
Yeah, how they've been advertising the game or showing it off in very brief bits and pieces of just, they showed off like, oh, look, this is our procedurally generated elements. And then, oh, here is now they've started talking more about the crafting element and the resource gathering element. And the fact that, some planets are hazardous and you have to actually upgrade your spacesuit in order to survive on them, which requires resource gathering. Which kind of just sounds boring and repetitive, but it's one of those things where everything that you've seen has never been seen before by other players. And they've estimated that like 99 point, like it's either 1 or 9% of the game that's been generated will never be discovered.
And it's a space simulator. What space simulation without it being repetitive?
Yeah. But it's also cool because they are now showing off more and more of the language element, where you have to learn other alien languages and interact with other alien species, which are not procedurally generated. Thank Jeebus, because that would be crazy if every single alien race you encountered was just procedurally generated. It'd be too much.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, this has been the news.
This has been the Crunchy Duck Gamers presentation of Dishonored.
Yeah, thank you for coming and listening to us. If you want to contact us, you can contact us on Twitter at CDuckGamers. You can also find us on iTunes. Please leave us a review on iTunes. And if you leave us a review on iTunes, we may read it on the show, especially if it's funny. Yeah, so leave us a review on iTunes. It helps the show. It helps us get recognized on iTunes. It also helps us helps us get feedback for the show.
Yeah, and if you have any comments about Dishonored, or there's some things about the game that you want us to talk about, just leave us a note in the comments.
Also, the Facebook page is the Crunchy Duck Gamers.
The
And I also would like to give out a shout out to the 4205 cast. They've been giving us some good feedback on Twitter. And
thanks, guys or gals.
thanks, guys. You should definitely listen to them. You can, because I listen to their podcast and they have a good show. They talk about they talk about really anything they want to. They don't really have any rules. So Russ, I recommend that to you. Just 4205 class. They have a cast. They have a SoundCloud. You can find them at 4205 cast, and there you go. There's that.
Ooh. Shot through the heart before it's too late. You give love a bad name. Down on the down.